All right, boys. So we don't have a whole lot of days left of the regular season, and yet we still got stuff to talk about. Philly has been exciting with Embiid. We've got a Bucks Magic Knicks thing going on at 2-3-4 that's here. We can talk about the Cavs for a little bit. Going to get some TJ McConnell praise in here too for the Pacers. But I do want to start with Philly. Joel has played a few games. He did not play in their crazy win against the Spurs, but what we've seen from Joel so far is, a lot of what you would expect to see, right? It's been a whole lot of face-up jumpers. He's drawn a bunch of fouls, and that first one on like Jalen Williams. Big Jalen Williams, not J-Dub. His first play back, we got to see him and Maxey get back into their two-man game where he kind of hits Maxey on the move in a handoff action on the wing. We've seen like a little hint of him getting like some DHO actions with Buddy Hield after he like screens for Kyle Lowry a little bit, because that's a bit of a question, with a few new faces here now. I don't remember which one it was, but there was a play where Lowry screened for Embiid to get into a jumper. Now, he did have some turnovers in that one off of the Thunder throwing multiple bodies at him, and he had a bunch of turnovers in the Grizzlies game, but he was also cooking a little in the Grizzlies game where he had like a couple of like post moves where he's doing like some off-ball set beforehand to get into the post, and then from there he's going into like not a dream shake, but a little bit of a dream shaker. He had that one like ISO free throw line jumper where he went between his legs a few times, so he's definitely looked good enough to be excited if you're Philly. I will say that. And defensively, that fourth quarter they had against Miami where as far as Joel specifically, like he had a play where he switched onto Rozier and he held up pretty okay. Another time where he had to close out to Rozier. Of course, he had that steal on Giddey late in the OKC game on a switch. But really, Philly's defense in that fourth against Miami was crazy good, man. The way that they were like throwing multiple bodies into the paint and then closing out to Miami shooters to not get torched from outside, like it was some good stuff. A small example being Kelly Oubre helping like decently hard off of Caleb Martin to prepare for Jimmy driving on Lowry, and then he closes out to him on the three. Or Paul Reed staying in the paint on a Jimmy drive on Maxey, which leaves Jaquez totally wide open, and then Maxey's the one who's got to close out to Jaquez. And post-entry pass, God Batum had one where he like threw it over the top of Bam to get it to Embiid when Bam was fronting him in the post. They're a game behind the Pacers right now. The odds are still in favor of them just staying into the play-in game, but if they win out, who knows? But if they do stay in the play-in, and there's definitely a possibility that they could be seeing the Bucks in round one, which also means we could get a Heat-Celtics thing, which, okay, let me do my whole scared of Miami thing. It's obligatory. You know that. If we get the Sixers and the Bucks in round one right now, with the way the Bucks have been playing and the way the Doc has like a new doomer quote every day, or I shouldn't say every day, every like 3 or 4 days it feels like, as Bleacher Report just makes every single one of them a banger tweet. I don't know, man. But of course, Miami will have something to say about all this, especially if we get that Sixers Heat play-in game. Let's talk about that Knicks game. In the second half of that game, the Bucks had like a 106 offensive rating. Not a good number. Amazing defensive rating for the Knicks, but you had OG on Giannis, and in the first half, you had Giannis getting pretty much all of his normal Giannis buckets with OG guarding him or having to get around a screen, and Giannis still finished with like a normal stat line for him by the end of the game. But in the second half especially, the defense on him was really good. There were some plays where OG was able to like cut off a Giannis drive or contest like a 13-footer really well, or just get him to take like a turnaround jumper in the post. But you also had plays where like OG's holding up really well against Giannis in the post off of an inbound, and then Mitchell Robinson helps off of Bobby Portis to block Giannis from behind, or another time where Mitch blocked Giannis when Giannis was like driving on a Josh Hart switch. OG switching to Dame one time, and Dame, he tried OG for a little bit, tried to drive on him, but OG just cut the drive off. There was another OG switch on Dame that resulted in either a block or a very heavily contested shot at the basket that did not go in. OG was like 2 for 11 in that game, and I swear his impact was still like massively positive. And as far as the Bucks offense, like, okay, like they're trying Dame Giannis actions, and you're going to see like screen actions like you will with any team. But whether it's like the urgency isn't there enough, or like if the initial action doesn't work and then they're kind of like, what do we do next? It's just not a great sort of stretch right here for the Bucks. Although Bobby is getting buckets in some of these games. Now, Middleton only played 13 minutes in that one, and of course they need him. I don't want to just be like Bucks hater mode, everything's falling, the Doc signing was horrific and all that. Because at the end of the day, you got Giannis and Dame. And again, lineup numbers when Middleton's healthy, still really good. But you can't pretend like everything's going well in Milwaukee right now. On the flip side, the Knicks, okay, so now OG has been back for 2 games, which is massive for them because the trend continues. When OG plays for this team, they just become a supercharged version of what they are. Look, we now know that they're not going to have Randall at all for the playoffs. He's out with the shoulder injury, and we'll see him hopefully opening day of next season. But also OG's impact is just crazy. And like Dante had a tough three over Bobby Portis that basically sealed the game because they made it like a 13-point game with like 6 or 7 minutes left. Bogdanovich had like a contested three, I think in transition on a pull-up that was huge for them as well. So if you can just get enough of that stuff on top of Brunson just being Superman, and then Hart and Hart grabbing all the boards and Josh screening for Brunson if he's got to, and McBride sometimes going off from three, like, and Mitch has been getting in there too. And I mean, if Mitch can be whatever you can hope he can be physically for the playoffs, and then him and Hart just putting pressure on the opposing team on the boards just all the time, where one of them sits, the other one comes in, you just can't take a break. Then okay, I mean them and the Magic are now tied for, the Magic are technically the 3 seed, Knicks are the 4 seed. Now we can go into the Magic. Orlando, they forced 21 turnovers on the Bulls in their last game, where, you've got plays where Wendell switches onto DeRozan, and then DeRozan tries to flip it to Kobe White on the wing, and Jalen Suggs jumps that pass, and so then we're going the other way. Or another one where this time Wendell is dropping on a Kobe White screen, which that's the versatility of Wendell's defense, and then you've got Suggs chasing Kobe from behind, and then you've got Paolo reaching in on him, helping off of Torrey Craig from the wing. The Magic aren't going anywhere, man. And whoever they get in a round one matchup, which, if they get the Pacers and it's a great defensive team versus, the Pacers, the Pacers have improved defensively as the year's gone on and they've shuffled the team around some, but obviously we know what their offense can do. That'd be pretty fun. And by the way, speaking of Indiana, man, TJ McConnell, the way he's cooking right now, man, we got pull-up twos, we got floaters and scoop shots. We got him rejecting screens. We've got, hell, in the Thunder game, he's like beating Lou Dort on a straight line drive sometimes. It's like, all right, go off, TJ. And it's just so many solid plays, man. Like in his first 2 assists of the Nets game, the second one was just a hit-ahead pass to Siakam, who had good positioning in the post and like a transition opportunity. And then the other one is like swing to Obi off of Hallie, swing to McConnell, who then attacks off of that, gets into the paint, and then kicks it to Halliburton. For the season, TJ is shooting 51% on shots in the paint, but not right at the rim. So that's good stuff. I do want to talk about Cleveland for a little bit. This is not going to be like a heavy, let me call out plays from the game or whatever thing. I was watching their game against the Lakers, and it was competitive, and then within 5 minutes, it wasn't competitive anymore. And I'm just like, I don't know. Cavs fans, how you feeling?